The cracks are no longer rumors because Prince Harry has reportedly stormed out of his Netflix agreement, and his marriage may not be far behind. Sources close to the couple say Harry was left stunned and livid after learning about Meghan Markle's absurd behind-the-scenes demands to Netflix executives. We're talking private royal footage requests, alleged humiliation edits aimed at William and Kate, and an environment so toxic that multiple staffers reportedly refuse to continue.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK, which is unresolved. NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out, but she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here.
This series, and they'll believe it. They'll believe the smears about Britain and our monarchy, that we're a bunch of bigoted and hateful people. They even blamed Brexit for the racism which apparently was aimed at Meghan Markle, which is just completely absurd. But by far the most sickening part of this show for me was the constant use of Harry's...
So much fun.
You and I are so similar. You and I...
With your guests, when was the last time you were surprised and delighted?
Last night, and also this morning, but last night when I went back to my hotel, and then you'd put your thumbprint in, which is what makes it a fun group activity, and you could fill it with jam, you could do chocolate, anything you like, of course.
One insider claimed Harry shouted, "This isn't what I signed up for," before storming out of their $14 million mansion. And now, the deal that once represented freedom from the crown is on the verge of collapse. It began quietly, just a single leaked document passed between a few industry hands. Then a second one dropped. And within days, what insiders are calling a controlled leak campaign exploded across internal Netflix servers and private group chats.
This woman is a born manipulator. The Netflix thing, she doesn't do the work. She don't make the jams. It's all made for her.
No, the world's biggest victims right now are the Duke and Duchess of Netflix. And don't take my word for it.
This promise of once you're married.
A flurry of confidential emails, memos, and production notes, all allegedly tied to Meghan Markle, circulated like wildfire. The contents? Shocking. According to sources who reviewed the materials, Meghan had allegedly requested private royal footage be woven into their documentary, clips that hadn't been aired publicly in decades. That included unseen footage of Queen Elizabeth's final engagements, behind-the-scenes prep for royal weddings, and even personal clips from Prince William and Kate's early parenting years.
Did you see my baby mama dance? I mean, stop it. First of all, can I just tell you, the timing of that, we maybe watched it like 20 times yesterday, and I was like, is that her?
Oh my God.
Is that Prince Harry there with the fingers and the... I was like, okay. Yeah. Okay.
But also, by the way, that wasn't yesterday.
No,
that was 4 years ago. So it's also a really great reminder that with all the noise or whatever people do, there's still a whole life, a real, authentic, fun life that's happening behind the scenes. I'm just grateful that now, being back on social as well, I have a place where I can share it on my own terms.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. It's so authentic, isn't it?
How hard I tried, no matter how good I was, no matter what I did, they were still going to find a way.
One email shows a request for unfiltered raw access to private family archival tapes, a demand that reportedly raised alarms immediately. According to internal Netflix staffers, palace permissions for that material had long been denied. Yet Meghan allegedly pushed to move forward, framing the request as critical for narrative balance. But critics say the narrative was never about balance. It was about revenge. Buried deep in the leaked notes were references to editing strategies that allegedly aimed to recast William and Kate in a cold, antagonistic light. Meghan reportedly wanted to highlight their lack of emotion during royal appearances, juxtaposed against her and Harry's warmth and public affection.
Hours of this Netflix series paint a very different, far uglier picture of this country and our royal family.
Everybody says she's a bully. She's very nasty. Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch. About the end of every episode, it says, like, the starring, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Yes.
That's how she's...
Scenes were restructured to draw contrast. One anonymous producer revealed, everything that made William and Kate look polished was reframed to feel robotic. Meanwhile, Meghan's most vulnerable moments were emphasized to elicit sympathy. Some of the edits were allegedly so extreme, even seasoned Netflix execs raised eyebrows. One internal memo reportedly stated, "Meghan is revising history and expecting us to turn the monarchy into the villain." Yet despite concerns, the project moved forward. Netflix initially greenlit the cuts, banking on controversy to boost viewership. They thought they had the next Crown meets Tiger King, one staffer joked.
Oh my gosh, I worked so hard.
She talks like she's a one-woman band. That is not hard work. Hard work is get up in the morning, get to 7 o'clock, get into a factory or a shop and working for 10 hours on your feet, coming home knackered. That's not what happens to her.
And still being a mom.
That is
still
not
being
what
a
happens to
mom.
her.
We'll see King Charles do this because I don't think that he likes the fact that he's been accused of racism towards his grandchildren.
But then the pushback began. Legal teams flagged the use of private royal content. Senior executives began fearing lawsuits. And when the dam finally broke and the leaks made their way to Harry himself, everything changed overnight. If the leaks were a storm, Harry's reaction was the earthquake. According to palace-connected sources, Prince Harry had no knowledge of how far Meghan had taken control of the Netflix series. While he was involved in early concept meetings, insiders say he had stepped away from the day-to-day scripting, trusting Meghan and her creative team to handle it.
Wanting to exploit their royal titles, I think it stinks. And I think what King Charles should do, he should just strip them of the titles.
Meghan Markle, she may have stepped down from royal duties more than 5 years ago, but she keeps taking aim at the monarchy. The Duchess of Sussex has made reportedly at least half a dozen swipes at the royal family this year, and it's only June.
It's about an hour-long cab ride. Never seen his grandchildren. This show is packed with the kind of spurious claims and hypocrisy that have become the Sussex signature. We learned they began making videos about their heroic journey 6 months before their Netflix deal was even announced, and right at the start of a pandemic that was killing.
That trust was reportedly shattered the moment the leaked content reached his inbox. One aide close to the couple claims Harry had a visceral reaction, slamming down his phone mid-read and demanding answers. Within minutes, he allegedly cornered Meghan in their home office and confronted her head-on. The confrontation, according to insiders, was nothing short of volcanic. Shouting reportedly echoed through the Montecito estate. Staff were told to give them space. One house manager said Harry could be heard yelling,
Mornings are as I get the kids off to school. You're making fruit parfait crudité boards?
Oh my God.
Whom?
She is
Harry Sussex? I have no idea. And no, Meghan, no one knew that. Like, why are you correct?
As ever, her new company, the very first thing she said was, look, you know, when I had the TIG, which was her previous lifestyle website, you know, I loved cooking and I loved gardening and being a hostess, and that she basically said I had to keep my light under a bushel at this time because of the royal family. Then we get her show, her Netflix show.
Proud to. If you excuse the massive book deals, the Silicon Valley startups, the preaching videos about well-being, the podcasts, the speeches, and the major network interviews with everyone from Oprah Winfrey to James Corden. But they've barely been seen or heard at all, have they? Well, on Thursday, they'll quietly and apologetically release their $100 million.
I'm going to show you how to make a happy, warm, loving home after I have successfully severed my husband's ties from his entire family.
You made me a weapon against my own family. What triggered him the most? Sources say it was the scenes aimed at William and Kate. Harry reportedly felt those moments were manipulative, emotionally loaded, and in direct violation of an unspoken boundary he had tried to preserve, even post-royal exit. Multiple staff members claimed they saw Harry leave the mansion shortly after the argument, without his security detail, a highly unusual move that suggested emotional distress. He needed air. He needed out, one aide said. It was clear he wasn't just upset, he was devastated. In the days that followed, Harry reportedly stopped responding to production team messages, canceled internal creative calls, and made it clear to Netflix that he wanted no part in the current version of the project. Insiders say he felt used, misled, and professionally cornered, roped into a documentary that, in his words, had turned into a personal vendetta masquerading as truth.
Her creativity being stunted. She says that when, she first, and, as a result of the royal family, she says that when she became a mum, she would have thought that she'd be able to have a baby on her hip and give speeches. But then, the whole drama and the pain and everything that was caused by being part of the royal family.
Before we even get to the main event.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile.
As a silent wallet, he cut off communication completely. That's right, Tyler Perry, the man who gave them a roof when no one else would, has officially walked away. And from the tone of his message, he won't be coming back. One of the most jaw-dropping moments in Perry's speech came when he revealed that Meghan tried.
But if Harry was furious, those working behind the scenes were reaching a boiling point of their own. While the media focused on Harry and Meghan's front-facing Netflix narrative, the real tension was bubbling beneath the surface, and it finally erupted. In the wake of the leaks, multiple staffers who had worked under Meghan's leadership began speaking out. Many anonymously, but some through third-party accounts now circulating in industry blogs and internal production forums. Their stories shared one consistent theme: a hostile work environment driven by relentless control and emotional pressure. One senior editor, who had previously worked on high-profile political documentaries, said the stress under Meghan was unlike anything I've experienced, even in war coverage.
Back of your head. This gruesome twosome only survived by cashing in on what's left of their royal status now. I said it before, I'll say it again tonight. King Charles should strip them of all their remaining titles and cast them out from any connection to the royal family. How could any of them trust them, as far as I could throw them? Because without it, they're just whining millennial windbags.
Another assistant producer revealed that deadlines were often shifted without notice, and that Meghan frequently sent emails with urgent revision requests in the middle of the night. There was no work-life balance, they said. Only the Meghan clock. But it wasn't just about late-night notes or high standards. Staff described Meghan's behavior as erratic, impulsive, and overbearing. She bypassed the chain of command constantly, one staffer said. We'd finish an approved cut, and the next morning it was scrapped because she had new ideas. It wasn't collaboration, it was chaos. Others spoke of a culture of fear, where any mistake, delay, or disagreement could allegedly lead to being iced out of meetings or written off completely. One post-production assistant described it as emotional roulette. You never knew what version of her you were going to get, they wrote. There were days she was kind, and others where we were terrified to speak. The most damning accusation came from a former project coordinator who claimed Meghan referred to herself, jokingly, as the Queen of Netflix, adding, "This isn't Buckingham, but it's close enough." That comment, reportedly made in front of staff, caused a noticeable drop in morale. Some left, others were removed, and still others stayed silent until the Netflix crisis made the fear no longer worth enduring. By the time Harry walked out, production morale had already cratered, and that collapse was about to reach the top levels of the company. As the headlines exploded and public backlash gathered speed, Netflix reportedly launched a full-blown emergency response behind the scenes. Damage control wasn't a suggestion. It was a necessity. Insiders claim the moment the leaked production details and Harry's walkout hit the press, a string of high-level emergency meetings was triggered across both the creative and legal divisions of the company. These weren't brainstorming sessions, they were containment missions. According to one producer familiar with the meetings, the tone was panic. Everyone was trying to figure out how this got so far off the rails. The first priority? Legal liability. Executives wanted to know whether the inclusion of private royal footage, especially clips allegedly obtained without palace consent, had exposed the streamer to breach of contract lawsuits. Lawyers reportedly combed through licensing documents and contract clauses, looking for loopholes or missteps that could protect the company if litigation erupted from the royal household. The second issue? Reputational damage. Netflix has been burned by celebrity scandals before, but nothing on this scale. With Harry's name trending alongside terms like betrayal, toxic, and walkout, executives were said to be furious, not just at the couple, but at Netflix's own internal leadership for giving them carte blanche control over the production. One senior producer anonymously revealed a moment that chilled the room. There was silence, and then someone asked, "Why did we give them this much control in the first place?" No one had a good answer. Reports indicate the company began re-evaluating Meghan's upcoming docuseries with Love, Meghan. Some executives argued that segments would need to be cut or res hot entirely, especially any footage portraying the royal family in a manipulative or invasive light. Others proposed delaying the series altogether or releasing it with a disclaimer. But the worst part? The timing. The Sussexes' $100 million deal was already on shaky ground. Viewership numbers had reportedly declined with each new release. Audience retention was weak. Internal reviews from focus groups had been mixed to negative. And now, with Harry allegedly walking away, the very foundation of the deal was in jeopardy. Netflix had banked on the couple being a united brand, a royal duo that could rival the Obamas in influence and media power. But now, the brand looked fractured, confused, volatile. Some execs reportedly began whispering the unthinkable, that this entire project had become a sunk cost wrapped in a scandal. And it wasn't just Netflix doing the math. Because behind the red carpet smiles, there was something far more telling happening between Meghan and Harry themselves. Behind every PR photo op is the truth, and for Harry and Meghan, insiders say that truth is looking more fractured than ever. While the public still sees them arm in arm at charity events and award shows, multiple sources from inside Hollywood and palace circles are saying the professional relationship between the Sussexes may be unraveling. And fast. It started subtly. Meghan began leading every Netflix production call. Harry's name disappeared from internal creative documents. Communications that were once sent to both were suddenly marked for Meghan only. Then came the reports that Harry had pulled out of on-camera segments for their next joint project, citing scheduling issues that no one could confirm. According to several insiders close to the couple's media team, Harry is now fully stepping back from their production company's operations. Meghan is said to be the sole decision-maker on brand partnerships, docuseries pitches, and creative strategy. She's running the show now, one former staffer noted. And Harry, he's just not showing up. Instead, Harry has been spotted reconnecting with his older, pre-Hollywood causes, military mental health, veterans charities, and conservation work. He's reportedly even reached out to some UK organizations he distanced himself from post-exit. Some royal watchers are calling this a professional divorce, the quiet unraveling of a brand that once prided itself on partnership. Gone are the days of Time 100 magazine shoots, joint podcasts, and power couple press tours. Now, Meghan is carving out a solo image as a polished lifestyle mogul, while Harry appears increasingly disengaged from the media circus they helped build. And as for the Netflix deal, that's another story collapsing under its own weight. When the Sussexes signed their 5-year deal with Netflix in 2020, the entertainment world stood still. A $100 million agreement, total creative freedom, and a platform that promised to elevate their voice beyond the constraints of Buckingham Palace. At the time, it was hailed as the beginning of a post-royal revolution. But now, just a year away from its expiration, that revolution looks more like a retreat. Sources inside Netflix say the numbers never lived up to the promise. The first docuseries, Harry and Meghan, sparked buzz, mainly due to royal controversy, but follow-up projects failed to maintain momentum. Viewership dropped by double digits after the first week. Completion rates were weak. Audience feedback was mixed at best. The most recent project, with Love, Meghan, hasn't even aired yet and is already under fire. Staff turnover has delayed production. Brand partners have quietly distanced themselves. And with Harry reportedly walking away from filming, the project may require a full creative overhaul to even make it to release. Behind closed doors, Netflix executives are reportedly divided. Some want to salvage the partnership for PR value, suggesting a final, farewell series to wrap the deal cleanly. Others argue it's better to cut ties early, buy out remaining footage, and quietly dissolve the contract to avoid further brand damage. Insiders say he's not just walking away from the production team, but possibly from the entire brand itself. Because for a man who once fought to escape the spotlight, this new chaos may be a harsher prison than the palace ever was. Prince Harry once said the Netflix deal was about freedom. But now, it looks more like a trap he never saw coming. Allegedly misled by Meghans' behind-the-scenes dealings. Blindsided by creative choices that attacked his own family. Humiliated by public leaks and insider accusations. And now he's walking away. This isn't just a production deal gone wrong. This is a royal crisis unfolding in real time. A marriage under strain. A brand collapsing under its own weight. And a prince torn between love, legacy, and loyalty. The question now isn't whether Harry will come back to the crown. It's whether he's finally done with the brand of Meghan Markle. Because when the cameras stop rolling and the doors close in Montecito, who'll be left standing?